day. Okay, thank you, Michael. So hi guys, welcome to Balance Bites. We do this monthly. But now that it's becoming the summer and nice season, this will be our final Zoom episode until the fall. So we are gonna try to have an in-person event in July. If you, I'll pass the information along to Ivan once it is to be in the newsletter, or I will be on the Facebook group. Okay, so if you're not already on there, I'll send a link later so you can join. But basically, all I just want to say that is that it will not be on July 1st because hello, Canada Day. We all have plans, we all have commitments. Okay, so it will probably be on July the 8th, if not later in the month. Okay, but we will keep you posted on dates and where and what. The plan is it will still be the same time and the same like on the Tuesday. It's just going to be either a walk or we're going to tour a farm, and then we're going to end up and eat together. Okay, because what is the show all about? Eating proper foods and other things, of course, but the centralization is called Balance Bites. So thank you for coming today. We have a very exciting topic today. I think both me and Veronica are equally as excited about this topic. And if you don't understand what Ayurvedic principle means, you will by the end of this. Okay? So let's dive right into the presentation. And if you have any questions, I'm going to ask you to refrain to either the chat or keep them till the end, as we have a lot of slides to cover. So don't expect to be out of here at 10:30 on the dot. If you have to run, you have to run. But if not, let's have some fun. Okay. So give me 2 seconds to share my screen. And okay, let's dive right in. So Veronica, take it away.
Hey guys. So as per always, we're starting things off with our disclaimer because this is important for you to all take note of and absorb. Me and Lyndsay are certified holistic nutritional practitioners. We are not doctors. We cannot diagnose any conditions. We can't prescribe any medications. So the purpose of these sessions is to share information with you and to help people learn to balance out their nutrition and their lives through holistic, natural methods. Me and
Mhm.
Lyndsay cannot be held liable for how you choose to interpret the information, but if you have any questions, we are only an email or a phone call away. Always talk to your family doctor before trying any new supplements or drastically changing your diet. That includes certain new foods if you're on medications. Your doctors are on your healthcare team, so keep them up to date and get them involved in helping you reach your health and wellness goals. You'd be amazed at how useful that can be.
Exactly. Agreed. So okay, so this is where we're going to talk about some Ayurvedic principles and like common like do's and don'ts. We only have one don't, so please stay tuned. Do stay balanced with seasonal eating. If you've been attending our episode since the very beginning, this is the core principle right here. Eating seasonal eating will allow there's lots of cooling foods when it's hot outside and vice versa. We typically gravitate towards more cooling foods and drinks and stuff like that at this time of the year because we're obviously so hot. Especially, I think today it's supposed to be what, 27 degrees? So lots of like watermelons, mints, and other things. We'll cover all the topics later, but staying balanced is what makes our body function. Okay, so keep this in mind. Do incorporate herbs as a regular part of your cooking. The fresher, the better. I can't stress how much I hate a recipe where they just say salt and pepper. Okay? That is not the way to go, people. We have many different herbs and spices in our gardens, in our grocery stores, in our everything. So please, when considering your next recipe, add a little bit of rosemary to your chicken, add some paprika to your peppers and like your potatoes and stuff like that, because they have a lot of nutrients in them in a small tiny amount. It's not like you're dumping the whole bottle. So please keep in mind to add some more flavor to your life. Okay. Do use spices to add more robust flavors and more nutrients. Obviously, this is the same thing again. It's just going to be more beneficial and more tasty when you do things like this. It'll make you want to enjoy things more. Go ahead, Veronica. You can do the last two.
All right, so do be mindful of your dosha, as some foods will irritate them. And if you're not sure of what the word dosha means, we're going to
Mhm.
cover that in a little bit. We have actually got a quiz you're going to do to let you know what yours could be. And it just really impacts everything about your life. So once you know what it is, you can figure out which foods are going to irritate it.
Yes.
The one and only don't do not drastically change your diet without talking to someone, as some spices and herbs can actually counteract, they can counteract your medications. Things like grapefruits with blood pressure meds, it's just something to be aware of.
Yeah. And I have a mother who is on blood thinners, and she actually cannot consume a lot of herbs herself because of the mint and the a lot of them
Hmm.
are what is it, anticoagulant, or
Yeah.
they're just really, and some of them can be detrimental to inflammation as well. So whenever considering taking medications, always consult somebody to help you figure out what those ones are. So next, let's go to the next slide. Guys, I'm not covering every single one of these. Okay. This is the produce of the month. Can we tell that the world is changing and that we are moving on into a more bountiful season? Why do you think we garden during this time? Because all of these are now fresh and ready. Does this not look like your grocery list already as it is? You could be growing all of your produce in your backyard and save hundreds of dollars. Guys, I don't like paying $2.50 for a cucumber. That is ridiculous to me. Did I just pay for 3 cucumbers at the grocery store yesterday for $3? That's fantastic. That's a win in my books. $2.99 for raspberries instead of 4 or $6.99. Guys, no excuses. I gave you slides from the last one to teach you how to grow your own garden with ever how many small space you have, whatever your situation, an apartment in a house. Just try. Just try. And if it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul. You can still go to the grocery store. But at the end of the day, like look at all these things like tomatoes and squashes and cabbage and cauliflower. And
M-
we will, by the way, cover at the very end which things you should be growing that are Ayurvedic.
My
Okay.
advice for you too, when it comes to
Yeah.
this list, I know some of them you might not recognize. Even something as simple as
Like
mustard greens
hackberries.
is maybe not familiar if it's not a part of your regular diet, but don't be afraid to try it because it's
Yeah.
really got some amazing nutritional value.
I agree. Like Haskell berries, didn't know what those were until I saw this. Daikon radish
My
is
favorite.
so good. And I saw one the other day in the grocery store and I was like, it's like this close to buying it. So if you need to take a picture of this, go right ahead. But for the record, I always get this list from the Ontario's Food Guide. Um, Ontario's Food Guide of like what is growing Ontario. You may see posts on social media of like what produce is in season. That might not be correct to where we live. Okay. I always use Ontario's. If you're outside of Ontario, I'm sorry. I can get you a list, but I always pick what is seasonal in Ontario at this time of the year. Okay. So yeah, let's move
Michael, to
on.
comment on your
Yep.
remark there about the asparagus, I'm actually having grilled asparagus tonight with venison souvlaki.
I had asparagus last night because I meal prepped yesterday and I was like, I love asparagus.
I'm so excited.
So good. Okay, let's cover. I'm gonna cover this one and then we'll move on. So
Sure.
doshas. So when you hear the word dosha today, I want you to think of these three. It's called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Okay. If you don't understand what that means, that's okay. Um, but I'm going to explain this to you as simple as possible. Okay. This book right here is my textbook from school. It's called Ayruveda and the Science of Self Healing. It's very short, it's very to the point. Okay. So if you have any questions, I'm going to consult this. Okay. But yes, Vata means air and ether. I'm, for the record, Vata. Okay. So if you need context, it's me. Vata means dry, light, cold, rough, and mobile. Okay. These are just characteristics of somebody who is Vata. And they're typically very enthusiastic, creative, adaptable, energetic, and energetic, good communicators, and creative. See, guys, that's me. That's me. Okay. Pitta, which is another one that I am considerably, is fire and water. I didn't put up an image of where they are in the body system, but Pitta typically means you have when you think of fire and water, you think of your stomach. Okay. So typically, Pitta people have bigger digestion issues. So that's why fire and water makes sense when it comes to, because it's called the digestive fire. And what do we consume to cool it down? Water. Okay. So typically, people who are Pitta energy are oily, sharp, hot, light, and pungent foods. Okay. We Pungent foods are a category, so we'll talk about those later. They're mostly intelligent, focused, organized, warm, leader, radiant, and have leader and radiant skin. Okay. Kapha is earth and water. Their characteristics are oily, cold, heavy, slow, and dense. Typically, Kapha people have a harder time losing weight. They're a little bit slower in their mobility and in their eating as well. So Kapha people, though, are very calm, compassionate, loving, immunity, memory, and patient people. Now, I'm not asking you to remember these because the test that we're about to do is going to determine this. So you will need a pen and paper, and it's just going to be a basic list of what do you think is suited for you. And you're just going to write a tick next to which one you think is more accurate to your description. Okay. So let's move on. This is also a picture that I wanted to show of balancing. Okay. So we can show this picture later once you actually do know what your constitution is. Sorry, your dosha is. But there's a certain time of day that is balancing to all of us. So me, as somebody who has pitta in their system, I typically eat my biggest meal at noon. Okay. Now, as you can see along the sides, those are the times of days when you are your most productive in those categories. Okay, so like socializing, yoga, sleeping, and all that stuff. But we're trying to create this is called like a circadian rhythm. Okay, if you have a problem, like say you don't like waking up until like 10 in the morning and you don't start working until noon, that means you're not a night, you're more of a night person. Okay. So just keep this in mind that the certain part of the day affects how productive you are and what you should be doing, how you should be eating. Like, see how the last meal is right before dusk? That's typically what we do eat, but not everybody likes to eat at that time. So, and then same thing like in the evening time. That's when you like calm down, relax, and such like that. Okay. So this is where the exercise comes in. Okay. So get out your pen and papers or just I don't know if you're good with the brain development of whatever, but I want you I know the pictures might be a little bit hard to see, but if you see the side, it'll say frame, body weight, skin, and then you see the word under Vata, Pitta, Kapha. I want you to pick which one under the Vata, Pitta, Kapha category you are of what seems more accurate to you. Okay. So you can go if you feel like it's going in a certain direction, or you already figured you know who you are, that's totally fine. Just go through it as best as possible. I'll give you guys a minute or two to really like take a look at the whole list.
There's also tests online. If you Google what is my dosha, when you have a little more time to go through it, that'll give you some really useful information about the most ideal foods, yoga practices, breathing exercises, like
Yeah.
everything for your specific constitution,
But of
which
course, we're going to talk about those
we're going to
today.
talk about that, but that'll give you a little bit more depth.
Yes, of course. This is just a basic test that we actually, as practitioners, are allowed to use on somebody to determine where their imbalances are in their system. So, whenever you guys are done, just put in the chat that you're done. Okay. I will be waiting. Who is in here right now? Let's see everybody. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, Christina, Jermaine. Da, 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 da. I love this one. What are you, Veronica?
Which constitution you mean?
Yeah.
I am actually one that's not on the list.
The
I'm the
Sama.
fourth one. I'm Sama. It means a
Sama.
relative balance of all three of the others, which is a good way to be.
Yeah.
But I do in the spring drift more towards Vata just because it's such a, the energy moves so quickly in the spring. I find that really affects me.
Okay. That makes
What
sense.
about you?
I'm Vata Pitta. Vata's my highest.
Yeah.
Pitta because Lyndsay has indigestion issues. So
Marshmallow root, darling.
yeah, I've debated that one.
That's my go-to. That's why I'm not that.
Makes sense. If you guys have any questions, you can just go with what your gut says on certain things. You guys can put, if you're comfortable, what you are into the chat. Michael. Okay. So you're definitely more Pitta dominant.
That's a pretty balanced result too, if you look at it, because the numbers aren't that far apart.
Yep.
And your results will shift as well as the days go by and as like the seasons move because we adjust to our surroundings, right? So,
Yeah, we'll talk about that after because I want to talk about being balanced
yep.
after and Sama because I didn't want to overwhelm people. So, whenever you guys are ready. I love this book. It's got some solid recipes in the back too. So, Michael, since you're the first victim, Pitta people typically have like a bigger hunger towards food. Um, they want to eat better foods. They want to, but the problem is that we sometimes eat the wrong foods and it upsets our stomach. Okay. So it's called a digestive fire. And typically you will benefit more from eating cooling foods.
Now, that's one thing I don't have issues with anymore. I used to have heartburn quite often and stuff. And in spite of the fact that I don't have a gallbladder, I don't
Yes.
have that anymore.
Yeah. Which makes perfect sense for you. So, things like cabbage, mint, watermelon, anything cooling will really help your stomach and stuff like that. And because obviously you have low bile production with your gallbladder, it's gonna help move things along.
Well, with my lack of one.
Well, yeah. I have a friend who also has gallbladder stones and she consumes ox bile to help with the bile production.
I would
Megan,
suggest to anybody who has problems with it is go and get it out because if it bursts, you got 45 minutes.
yep, that's valid. That's what I said. Megan, Pitta Vada Kapha. Perfect. I'm
And I
happy,
and I procrastinated.
of course. That's what my friend is doing too right now. I'm like, don't
So maybe if you guys want to screenshot this, we can move forward just because we got a lot to get through.
give him a minute. I'm giving them one more minute and
Okay,
then we can
sure.
move on. Don't worry. I can talk fast if I need to. So, but Ivan, you doing okay?
Well, geez, I only did the first table. I
That's
didn't
okay.
I
If you
didn't
feel like
keep I didn't realize that keeps going on.
okay. Ivan, are
Yeah,
you doing
I
okay?
have to say, I'm not a fan of the emotional temperament one. It just seems like there's no winners here. So it's like, what? Is there like an option D? Anyway, that's
Right.
me.
There's no right or wrong answers, and the best thing is to just try to go without judgment and choose what you lean towards automatically. Like what's your first go-to in your back of your mind when someone like your impulse reaction.
Of
That's what you
course.
want to capture.
Balvier, how are you doing?
Well, I haven't been counting. I was just trying to read through it. This is the first time I'm coming across these, so this is totally alien to me. But I think I'm between Vata and Pitta.
Okay. I'll send a quiz out on at the end and you can take it and it'll be more in depth and stuff like that. But if you feel like you're already in that direction, that's a pretty common direction and stuff like that. Ivan, You doing good? Okay. Let me know when you're good. I feel like all the other people I'm not waiting on because they don't
Yeah,
know.
I look at more of these and I see more pitta coming through.
Yeah, that makes sense for somebody like you. Ivan, whenever you're ready, just let me know. I can't hear you.
I was trying to use my hands to say yes. You carry on. I'm good.
Yes. Where do you feel like you're mostly hitting though, Ivan?
Yeah, I'm between Vata and Pitta.
Okay. That's pretty common for a lot of people. Kapha is I've only met like maybe 3 people in my life that are Kapha energy. Okay. But okay, just keep in mind of because that's why I wanted the exercise done because now the slides that we're moving on to will be very specific to what the ones that you are. So just keep in mind that like Michael's Pitta, Megan's Pitta, Ivan, I would assume you're Vata because of your how you are as a person, Bellevier, same thing. So yeah, just keep those in mind going forward with the next few slides. Okay, because these are going to be very beneficial to you. So let's move on. Okay, so we'll cover Vata first. Do you know what, Veronica? You can talk.
Absolutely. So spices and foods, this is absolutely my area of most interest. For the Vata constitution, so again, that's air and ether, which is space. It's best if you favor warm, grounding foods to kind of balance out that erratic lightness. Include sweet, salt, sour, and salty flavors. Freshly cooked whole foods that are soft are the best, and a balance of protein and fat served warm is what your body will adjust to the best. Moist, soft dishes and foods are ideal. Good food options would be things like rice, wheat, and flour products. Milk and milk products, take that as you will. I don't really believe that dairy is the answer, but a lot of people do. If it works for you, that's a good way to be.
Yep.
Fats and oils are important because they balance out that lightness. Green vegetables also. Spices and herbs like cardamom, ginger, sesame, garlic. Myrobalan, I'm not sure about, but long pepper is delicious. And fully ripe, sweet, and heavy fruits. These are all really beneficial things. Things that are not so beneficial, raw foods, they're too cooling and too light for the Vata constitution. Cold foods and beverages, same thing. Dry foods, so popcorn, crackers, chips, dried fruits, there goes everybody's snack list, but those are, if you're a Vata type, those are not what you should be going for. Also bitter or astringent herbs, so parsley, thyme, and coriander seed, not ideal. If you're going to use them, just use them in smaller quantities.
Let's do back and forth. I'll do the next one.
Okay.
Okay, so for Pitta, favorite cooling foods, like I said, Michael, okay, includes avoid spicy and acidic foods because what does that do? That disrupts our stomach. And the digestive fire, you're gonna hear me say that a lot. Includes sweet, bitter, and astringent flavors. What would be considered astringent? Trying to figure out that.
Chamomile.
Yes, thank you. Chamomile. Fresh whole foods that are hearty, cooling, dry, and high in carbohydrates are heavily recommended to people with pitta. Because what do carbohydrates do to your stomach? They soothe them. Okay.
They have an
Whenever we're like your
alkalizing
stomach,
effect.
yes, they have an alkalizing effect. It's exactly the term for sure. Yeah, so then so good things. Grains like barley, oats, basmati rice, legumes, sweet. Just be careful with some legumes because they will obviously make your stomach even more upset. Usually legumes that have like that film casing around them doesn't work great with our stomachs, unfortunately. Same like almonds. Like almonds should all, we say this out loud, all nuts should be soaked because they are harsh on your tummy bunny. Okay, guys. Sweet and fully ripe fruits like melons, bananas, pineapples, pears, oranges. Sweet and bitter veggies like cabbage, cauliflower, celery. You get the gist of that. Just aim for those ones as well. Goat, chicken, and rabbit. Obviously, we're eating lots of those every day. The chicken, obviously, but the rabbit and the goat, well, that's up to your discretion. And then small amounts of black pepper, fenugreek, Indian gooseberry, dates. Okay. try to avoid overeating warm, hot, or spicy foods. So typically right now, like pitta is high because we're in like the summer and stuff like that. But in the winter, it's cooling, but we eat a lot of warming foods during the winter. Okay. So that's when typically pitta energy is a little bit off. Okay. Avoid alcohols or caffeines. I mean, in moderation to a degree. But yes, because that's obviously very acidic. Canned, processed, or pastries. Yeah, it's the same thing as acidity. There's just a lot of acidity in all those things. So, soup or liquid meals, and sharp and sour flavors. So anybody who's pitta, just avoid the things that like upset your stomach, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay.
I love soup. Homemade
That's totally
soups. I love.
fine. But Michael, you can add cooling things like cabbage to a soup, okay? Just I
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
dump a whole bottle of hot sauce into it.
Most of my soups that I make either have a lot of beans in them or
Okay.
things like celery, carrots, corn, peas,
Sounds like the
stuff like that.
perfect minestrone soup.
No, that's turkey.
Okay.
The last one. The
Awesome.
first one is just a ham and bean soup.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, Veronica, you can do kaffa because it's the one I lack the most in.
So kapha type, favor light and dry foods to balance out that heaviness. Avoid heavy and oily foods. Include pungent, which is another word for spicy, by the way. Bitter and astringent flavors. Choose light, warm, dry, and fiber-rich foods. That fiber is your secret weapon if you want to lose a few of those extra kapha pounds. And consume mostly cooked foods with only a small amount of raw foods. Just because kapha is such a cold constitution, raw foods tend to be a little overwhelming. So good options, rice, wheat, maize, which is another word for corn, and barley. Fruits like apples, blueberries, pears, pomegranates, cherries, and dried fruit. Red or green legumes and lentils are great. Raw honey is fantastic for a number of reasons. And spices and herbs like ginger root, turmeric, cocoa grass, tulsi, which is holy basil, and neem, very beneficial. Bad or not so good things, too much raw or too many raw fruits and veggies. Again, it's just the cold will throw off your balance. Heavy foods, because kapha is such a heavy constitution. So cheeses, puddings, cakes, pies, anything deep fried, red meat, and oils. And I know there goes most people's entire grocery list right there. So I do apologize. But if you're the kapha type, you might not find those the most beneficial. Overeating cold foods, not so great either. Cooked foods are definitely preferred. Frozen or refrigerated leftovers, not ideal. Just make smaller portions and don't have leftovers that way. Also, smooth foods, really funnily enough, are not the best if you are a kapha type.
Yeah, right. Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna talk about some exercises and like other things now when it comes to the constitution. So Vata benefits from grounding practices and slow, gentle movements. So if you're the Vata type, you're gonna do like a lot of slow, controlled movements in yoga, standing poses that promote stability, and hatha yoga or restorative yoga. If you don't know what hatha means, that means like hot yoga. Okay. And for meditation, we're talking about like centering, grounding techniques. Vata people typically need to have more breath work involved when meditating and peaceful, like guided meditations. Guys, I'm Vata and I literally did a peaceful meditation guided last night before I fell asleep and just completely shut my body down, made me go right to bed. Okay. Don'ts for Vata is avoid intense, fast-paced movements. So we're talking like lifting like really fast or like running at a really fast pace. Just try to avoid intense movements like that. And then avoid overdoing it in stressful situations. So don't try to make yourself like stressed because the Vata is like it's just not good. Okay, people. You can go ahead, Veronica, for this one.
So for the pitta type, find balance through cooling activities and mindful stillness. There's a lot of intense energy with the pitta type, and doing things that will kind of calm that down are very beneficial. So go for yoga poses that promote cooling or grounding. Hatha yoga, because it's hot yoga, is not as recommended, but restorative or yin yoga, if you've never tried yin yoga, that basically slows the poses down to, you hold them for a very long time. It's extremely deep stretch and it's wonderful. Cool
Mhm.
weather activities, also great. So outdoor yoga at the lake, wonderful options. For your meditation, focus on cultivating inner peace and calm, because that will help again to calm down the fire inside, and engage in quiet contemplation. That's very important. Things to avoid: avoid excessive heat, steam, or humidity, and avoid situations that promote conflict. So just breathe, be cool, literally.
Literally. And then for kapha, they benefit from stimulating exercises and meditation that is focused on expanding your awareness. Okay, so positions like in yoga, like active yoga styles like vinyasa, practices that increase energy and circulation. That's a good one. Meditation, focus on expanding awareness, cultivating inner stillness, practices that promote light and lightness. We're gonna try to avoid when we're kapha to heavy stagnant practices and avoid rest or inactivity. Remember how I said kapha people are typically of like they can't lose as much weight category, unfortunately. So that's why, because you need to have more movement than a vata person, because a vata person is actually going to be more slimming in the position usually. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and no, it's not about your body now. It's not about, I'm just trying to paint a picture that like pitta people obviously have a little bit more gut oriented issues, and that would obviously create bloating. So that would be the middle. And then usually people in the vata category are like slimmer, and then people in the kapha category are usually bigger. So picture like a progression of a body. And if you are still in the vata category and you are a little bit bigger, that's, you just have a better metabolism to lose weight than the kapha category, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. Okay, Veronica, go ahead.
So for exercise, Vata constitution needs rhythm and routine. They're typically attracted to activities that involve moving quickly, so running, cycling, faster paced yoga, things like that really go with the Vata drive. Their focus should be on stability and grounding, because again, it's a matter of opposites. Opposites heal. So you provide that erratic Vata energy, something stable or something that'll like cement it down. It's very helpful. Their ideal times of day to get things done and be most productive are between 6 and 10 a.m. and 6 and 10 p.m. I don't understand the logic behind the timings, but apparently.
That's
Tips:
me.
keep a consistent routine. Consistency is really, really helpful for Vata type. Also, aim for low impact, warming, grounding, steady, and strength building workouts. So things like hot yoga are wonderful for Vata types. Things like if you do like a lot of weight training, it's very beneficial, but keep the weights lower because you'll do more reps, low impact.
Yep. And Vata people thrive in warm climates because they are naturally more colder temperature wise. So I actually have like an issue in my body where I'm always constantly cold. So I always crave heat. Okay. Like I'm sitting in my heated chair right now. So, and it's 30, probably like 30 degrees outside. So, yeah, pitta, lots of Agni, which is that inner fire that I was talking about. They tend to be more athletic and like to push the limits because they're just remember how I said that they eat more carbs? They should eat more carbs. Carbs are what give you that energy to be more athletic. Okay, so it makes perfect sense that pitta people are more athletic and competitive. So when we're talking about exercises to focus on, moderation, like lots of fun, but also lots of like a good push. Okay, like give a good balance between the two. In timing of the day for pitta people are usually in the morning or evening, and avoid exercising in the middle of the day, because that is typically when pitta people should be eating their heaviest meal, not dinner. And obviously you don't want to work out on such a heavy stomach. Other than that, exercises that they should avoid is hot yoga. because same thing again, that's going to activate your stomach. It's going to make you upset. It's going to make you those Snickers commercials of where you're like angry until you have that. That's the vibe. Okay. Just keep that in mind. And then what tips? Pitta people thrive better in water sports. Okay. Like swimming, fishing, water polo, kayaking, etc. Because what does that do? Calms your body down, cools the body down. Okay. So if you're a fish in the water, typically that means you're Pitta type. Okay. Go ahead.
So exercises for the Kapha type, they tend to need motivation to get up and move. It's just because the constitution as a whole is so slow and so heavy, the focus needs to be on things like movement and invigoration.
Yeah.
Ideal timing for you guys, 6 to 10 a.m. and p.m. Those are just the ideal times to get things done. For tips, keep your exercise varied and fun. Anything to get out of that rut or that the regular norm. Cardio or aerobic exercises are excellent choices for this one, just because they get that heart rate up and get you moving.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now we talk about the fun topic, gardening, because I hope all of you have gardens going on right now. But so as we covered already in the show, these are things that are typically in Ayurvedic foods. Okay, now I'm not telling you to go and switch to eating all Ayurvedic foods, but this is ways to like that the Ayurvedic principles want you to like naturally calm yourself down and stuff like that. So Veronica, you can cover this one if you want. Wait, did you cover the last one? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
sure thing. I can.
Okay, go ahead.
So holy basil, which is not regular culinary basil, even though they're very similar. This is also known as Tulsi. It's an antibacterial and an expectorant. So an expectorant will basically say you have a cough, it'll help you get that congestion out. It's a productive cough. Holy basil is especially pacifying for Kapha and Vata types. So if that's what you're dealing with, you could find that as a really useful tool. Cilantro and coriander. These are bitter, astringent, and they're really good digestives. They're also very cooling, so they'll balance out that Pitta type. Lemongrass, antibacterial, it's antifungal, packed full of antioxidants. It's really good for detox, and it may relieve stress and anxiety. One of the reasons that it's so good at balancing is it will balance out your kapha. Mint is a digestive and a decongestant, so that's really good for if you've had a heavy meal, or if you're feeling a little bit tight in the lungs, you're feeling a little bit of a cough coming on. Mint can help, and it also pacifies kapha and vata.
Yes, I think I have mint. I think I have cilantro too. I used to grow lemongrass. It's just very intense. Gets really tall.
It's
Okay?
very intense to grow, but
It's very intense to grow. I would
it's
not grow
worth
that in a
it.
pot if anybody asks. Grow it in
If
your
you
garden.
honestly, if you want to grow lemongrass,
Yeah.
we don't live in the best climate for it.
No. You'll find that a lot of wherever you go and buy like your herbs and spices and garden veggies and and fruits for the summer will already have the things that will thrive in your area. Okay. We live in if you guys remember from the last episode, we talked about the zones, and I think we are considered zone 6B basically, and your garden store isn't going to sell you everything because I'm sorry, we can't grow avocados here, people. It's just not going to happen unless you have a greenhouse. You can still find them, but you would have to like turn one of your bedrooms into a hot climate in order for something like that to grow, like lemons and limes. If we should actually do that. There is a greenhouse in Gage Park that actually grows lemons and limes and rare fruits and vegetables that we can't typically grow here because they are a greenhouse. Okay. And they just let you tour and see all the things that they're growing. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. So yeah, same thing again. You can grow things like fennel. If you're typically going to like an Indian restaurant, fennel is in like a lot of the dishes. That's the one that tastes like licorice, right? Don't typically, yeah. It tastes like licorice. You can actually eat it as a snack. That's why if you see a bowl at the front of an Indian restaurant, they usually have fennel seeds for you to consume after you've eaten your meal.
If you
Why?
get the leafy green part,
Yes.
toss it on the barbecue. Get a little bit of
Yes.
char on it. It's the greatest summer side dish.
I agree. And and same thing like fennel, it's good for digestive, it has antioxidants and it's warming, so it's really good for people with the Vata constitution. Now, dill is obviously probably one of the most common things we grow in our garden, but I don't know about you guys, but I throw in like my pickling dishes, in my salmon, in my potato salad sometimes. Like it's very versatile, obviously. So when we consume dill, it's good for digestive, immune boosting, boost bone strength, which most people don't know. And same thing again, it pacifies us for Vata. So it's because it's warming. How many people have actually had fenugreek in their life? Okay, it's just us two. I didn't see anybody else's hands.
That's not
Fenugreek,
surprising, but more people should get into it because it's a delicious herb. And it's got a
it's
lot of
honestly
benefits.
so good. Yeah, anyways. It's good for digestive, anti-inflammatory, helps helps control blood sugar and cholesterol. Oh, I didn't know I could do that. That's cool. And yes, it may and cholesterol may increase pitta, can be balanced out by adding ghee to the dish. So I actually know people who make fenugreek ghee, okay? And they just consume it like that. But Michael, don't do it. Unless you have ghee at home, which I always recommend everybody being on ghee. Yeah, so let's do this. And rosemary. Rosemary is obviously very typical. A lot of people consume that because it's anti-inflammatory, boosts brain power, it's calming. And if anybody doesn't know this, it's great. You see how healthy Lyndsay's hair is? Rosemary. Okay.
I
If
don't
you
like
need
her.
for the people like Ivan who need to grow the hair, I'm just kidding. For anybody who just wants a stronger, healthier hair, you can actually just go buy whatever shampoo you have and just stick a sprig of rosemary into the bottle, shake it around, and you'll have luscious hair like Lyndsay. Megan's like, I'm gonna do this now. But yes, for the Michaels, the whoever needs healthier hair, it's all about the rosemary, guys. I swear. But yes,
As long as I don't have to eat it, that's good.
Rosemary is
No,
also super good for your brain power.
yes.
And that's I like more concerned about than my hair. I want my brain to be functioning top form. So that's the way to do it.
And rosemary is actually very good for chicken. Obviously Michael's not going to have it, but that's fine. But it's also very calming. Don't be surprised if after you do have rosemary that you feel like you want to go to bed. So it's very calming. But yeah, same thing again, warming, relaxing, benefits kapha. Okay, we're down to our final couple slides, and see, we made great time. We made great time. So let's get into the recipes. Okay, I'll cover this one because this one's mine, obviously. So lentils. I cannot stress enough that when an athlete, like one of the players from the Honey Badgers, calls me and they say, I need a better carb, this is the one that I'm choosing. Okay. As you can see here, there's obviously red, green, black. It doesn't really matter. It's all about taste preference. Personally, myself, I prefer green lentils. Okay. Red ones are a little bit stronger. So if you buy like a red lentil pasta, you're gonna cook it to if it says between 10 and like 12 minutes, do it to 12 because it's just such a harder consistency. And then I don't think I've ever had black ones. Have you, Veronica?
Yep, it's similar to black beans, a little bit of a different mouthfeel, a little bit
Yep.
tougher to chew, but wonderful.
Yeah, so if you like softer textures, go towards green ones. Okay. Lentils are a great source of protein, carbs, and fiber. You'll find that a lot of athletes will eat them to carb up before working out, and they still give you that little kind of protein boost as well. So for this recipe, you're basically just gonna take the lentils and wash them thoroughly because we should always rinse our nuts and seeds and legumes. Okay, people? Let's just try practicing that for once. Heat ghee or coconut oil in a pot over medium heat. Obviously, ghee is going to give you more protein, but coconut oil is going to be better on your heart and on your brain development. So keep that in mind. You can add cumin seeds and let them simmer. Add turmeric, ginger, I can't say this word.
Asafoetida.
Asafoetida. Thank you. If
What
you
is
could say,
that?
Veronica.
It's just a different type of herb. It's really, really good for your digestion. So it's an ancient Ayurvedic herb. It's one of the things they've been using for thousands of years, so I guess they know what they're doing.
Is that
Yeah,
something you'd find in the grocery store?
yeah.
You can order it on Amazon, and you can also get it in almost any Asian grocery store.
So is it like, does it come dry already, Veronica?
Yeah, dry. Just put like a pinch, like literally like you're adding salt to a dish.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also could be called hinge, by the way. Hing. So just keep a lookout for both of those. But it's good for people like Michael with pitta issues. So good for digestion. Obviously, salt and cilantro are going to be grounding as well. So yes, rinse the lentils in water or broth in the pot. Add salt to taste. Bring to a boil. Then reduce heat and simmer until the lentils are soft and cooked through. If you don't like mushy lentils, you can also cook. You could also soak your lentils overnight and then fry them up the next day instead of boiling them. Okay, it's really up to you for taste preference. I always cook my lentils in ghee and all the spices that were just basically listed there, and then like just patting them dry if it's just too like too oily, basically.
You could
And
also
then
cook
you
them
can
in an air fryer.
Yes, lentils are very versatile. You can actually break them down into a flour. You can use them as like a flour alternative. You can boil them and put them in like any recipe that you want. Like salads, wraps, whatever. Cook a large amount of them and then just add them wherever it deems fit. Okay. Next recipe. Go ahead, Veronica.
So I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Kichari before, but it is considered to be Ayurveda's #1 superfood for cleansing and rejuvenation, and it is the most digestible food that humans can make. It helps to reset your digestive fire or your agni, and it reduces inflammation. So that's very helpful. Helps to calm a fiery digestive tract. So if you've got indigestion, heartburn, acid reflux, this dish will fix that. And that's not a medical claim. That's actually just truth. I can send you the medical studies if you'd like to see them. Just let me know. So Kichari will satisfy your hunger, but it's still really easy to digest.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect meal to call on when you're feeling under the weather, recovering from an illness, when you want to just reset yourself, or when you want to do a cleanse. So in the spring is a great time for doing a cleanse. Kichari is one of the things that I eat in abundance during that time.
Yeah. And it's very like we were as students required to try it because we cooked it and we also had to try it in our Ayurvedic class. I'm just gonna say this right now, if you're Vata constitution, doing fasting is really hard for our constitution. Okay, we get really aggravated if we try to do, and same thing with pitta people too. But if you feel like you would be the most angriest person, Snickers moment, like if you ever went without food for more than 12 hours, you can use this instead. So as our teachers told us, we did this instead of doing a fasting. Okay, it's a very good reset on your body and stuff like that. So
Would you like to hear how you say it properly?
Absolutely.
Khichdi.
I've heard that too, but I think it's kind of like hopefully like the tomato.
Probably.
But yeah, so this is
there's actually different ways there's kichadi, there's kitchery, and there's like KICH, and then there's also KITCH. They've taught us 3 different words when it comes to that.
So this is the basic recipe, but it's
Thank you.
extremely variable. It uses a lot of cilantro, but you can leave that out. You can use any flavors you want. It also uses coconut as a flavoring, which goes really nice with the ginger root, the turmeric, and the ghee. It ties it all together. It's got mung bean sprouts. If you don't know what a mung bean sprout is, you know when you get Chinese food, those little white, kind of like cylindrical looking thingies? That's a mung bean sprout. Very common. You can sprout them yourself. You can get them from the grocery store. Either way, sprouts are a wonderful nutritional supplement because they have the power to grow an entire plant in this tiny little sprout. So they're really nutrient dense, very, very healthy.
Yeah, and they're
Is
actually a good source of carbs as well.
Yep.
So a
is
lot
that
of
actually like the bean sprouts you get
Yep.
like when you order Chinese food,
Yep.
just
That's what those are.
like in a chow
Yeah.
mein?
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they're really easy. You can find them at any store, but you can also sprout them yourself. It's super easy. This is a very simple dish to make. You wash the mung dal, which is the mung bean sprouts, and the rice separately, just because I'm not entirely sure why the logic is behind that, but I think it disrupts the nutrient development. Soak it for a few hours if you have the time, then drain it. Put the other ingredients in a food processor and blend. You heat up the oil, add the blended items, the turmeric and the salt, and then add all the rest of the stuff. Cover, simmer, enjoy.
Yeah, super simple recipe. It's not hard, and you can make a lot of it. So if you are trying to fast for, say, a couple days, we always have a rule of thumb when it comes to in nutrition of you can't fast for less than 3 days, minimum 3, because the first 2 days your body is adjusting to the food that you're doing or the fasting, and then by the third day is when you'll start seeing the results. Typically, people of Vata constitution can only do 3 to 5 days of fasting or cleansing or detoxing. Okay. Kapha people, however, can do, I think it was almost up to an entire month, if I'm correct, from what I learned in school. But it's like Kapha people can 1000% do it a lot longer than Vata people. Okay. So if you have any, I'm actually going to stop screen sharing right now because we are done with the presentation. If you have any questions when it comes to your constitution, so let me promise all the things that I said that I would put into the chat. So, dosha test. This is the one that I typically do. It's very like straightforward. If it asks you to sign up for something, don't. Just take this test. If you have any questions as to like what type of foods your Vata constitution, so in this book right here, it actually gives you a complete list of every category of what Vata people can eat, what Pitta people can eat, what Kapha people can eat. Okay. Obviously Ayurvedic is all about balance. Okay. So if you're somebody like Veronica, which is another term called Sama, that means that if you do this test and it says you're Sama, it means that you were so close in the numbers to all 3 that you're actually pretty balanced out in your system. Okay. And obviously, with Ayurvedic principles, they want you to be as balanced and as centered as possible. That's why we talked to you about exercises. That's why we talked about meditation. That's why we talked about food. They want you to have a better quality of life, period. Okay. So if you actually visit an Ayurvedic doctor, and yes, there's some even here. Okay. They will tell you to like cut out stress, to meditate, to eat better. They're going to be a little bit more holistic in their approaches than your typical doctor on everyday practices. Okay. And yes, they are like, there's even some in Burlington. I look, trust me. Okay.
I want
So
to drop
yeah,
a, excuse me, but I want to drop a point in here about the whole
Yep.
Sama constitution. That was not me years ago when I first started on my healing and healthy journey. I was a hard pitta, like too much fire, too much angst, too many issues. I had a lot of kapha too. I was lots of immobility, lots of slow, lots of indigestion. It was just really not a good time. So it was through a lot of work, conscious changes, being aware of the foods that I'm eating and choosing the right ones that I was able to adjust to the point now where I feel like I'm pretty balanced, and it's made a huge difference.
Yeah, so you guys can always take the test. The test will always change and stuff like that. On obviously your frame is not going to change, but if your teeth get better, your nail and skin gets better, all that stuff, we all change. Like I was definitely not the same person I was when I was a kid, okay? When it comes to my body. So you can take the test as many times as you want. But the whole point of all this is like if you get told, so the test that I just sent you will tell you what your constitution is and where your imbalance is. So if it says you're Vata but your imbalance is in Pitta, that means that you're aggravating your Pitta too much and it's causing you an imbalance in your system. So once you start knowing your practices more, then you'll start seeing all the numbers level out more. Okay. But it's not easy. It takes a lot. Okay. So if you feel like your stomach is so upset, then you might want to push away from bad pitta foods and energy and stuff like that. So anywho, I want to open the floor up to anybody who has any questions or wants to say anything. So speak now. Go ahead, Megan.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I was just wondering at the end you were talking about like fasting and everything and how it's good for some and not for others. And you're saying, oh, well, they can only do up to like 3 days. Like, well, what happens if they continue? Like, do they just like start feeling really sick or like what happens?
We always say when it comes to fasting and digesting that you should never go beyond your aggravation. Okay.
Mm,
If your body starts getting very aggravated, that's a good sign to not continue. Okay.
mm.
So Lyndsay Fraser, tried to do a kitchery fast. I lasted 1 day. I got so aggravated. I was getting so angry at every single person around me. I could feel the anger, and there's no benefit in any of that. Okay. I was also told that I didn't prep my body well for it. So that's also a different conversation. But no, your body naturally knows what it wants. Okay. It's not good to go beyond what your body is angry. Okay. I'm not saying like go and run to your snack every single time you're angry or something like that. I'm just saying that if your body is genuinely showing bad signs, like rashes or upset stomach or diarrhea, sorry, stop if you feel that way. Go ahead, Ivan.
Can I make an important point before you dive in? Because this is on that last remark.
Yeah.
Fasting doesn't necessarily mean you eat 0 things and drink 0 things for 24 hours. There's a term called breaking the fast, and that's important to do. You still need nutrients. There is a way of eating called breatharians. They live on the breath or on air, and I don't believe in that whatsoever because I really don't think you can materialize carbohydrates and proteins from air. So if your body's telling you you're too hungry, it's uncomfortable, stop the fast, it might be worth it to at least have a bowl of rice. Go slow, ease yourself back in after a fast. Go really slow. So bowl of rice, but make it with some coconut milk instead of water, or eat something really, really digestible. Don't go hard and like I have a big, huge salad. Not easy on your digestive system if you just did a fast.
Yeah, on to Veronica's point, you have to prep for a fast. You have to do the fast, and you also have to come out of the fast it's not just a like I'm doing a fast for 2 weeks and then that's it. You have to prep heavily and you have to have an exit plan. Sorry, Ivan, go right ahead.
No, good points. I do have a question. I know that with myself, the last time I tried a fast, within like 3 hours, I was getting into that aggravated mode. So because my body's just saying, hey, right about now, you usually have something to eat. So how much should I push through that?
I would at least try for the day if you can. But just like Veronica said, if it's day 1 and you're fasting and whatever you're like go towards something like rice, because I will tell you right now, because you said your Vata constitution, it's a lot harder for us to get through a fast. Okay, we get to that aggravated whatever faster than any other person out there. Okay, so if you ease into the fast, like start off the day with like a heavy bowl of rice and then say, I'm not going to eat anything until like the sun goes down, obviously, then do that rather than just go fasting the whole entire day. You could do intermittent fasting instead, which is the like sunrise to the sunset, the one that we talked about in our other topics, like doing the 12-hour fast instead of doing the 24-hour fast.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
And is there a significance to the rice as opposed to, let's say, having a regular, like a
rice or any good carbohydrate is going to fill you, obviously. And a lot of carbohydrates are cooling, but also very filling. Go ahead, Veronica.
Well, the goal with the rice is it's highly digestible. That's why we feed it to, and so many baby foods are based on rice because it's really digestible. It doesn't irritate the stomach hardly at all. It's easier on your body. So that's the kind of thing when you're doing a fast that you want to really be aware of.
It's the same concept of like, you know, when you've had like an upset stomach all day long, eating the bland cracker, eating the white bread, eating the white rice, it's just going to absorb more and make your stomach less upset. Like even dogs can eat white rice when they are having an upset stomach to like bind it better. Okay. It's a good source of calcium and fibers and all that stuff inside of it. So that's
Yeah.
how.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Michael, any questions? No? Megan, Christina? I don't even know if Christina's there. Thank you, Belbeer, for teaching us how to properly say the word. How did you feel about today's topic?
No, it's great information. Thank you for sharing all that. I guess I've grown up with you know, eating stuff like that, and I never understood when I was little. It's like, what's a warming food? Why can't I have that? Don't have too much of this. And I'm like, well, why not? It's cold. Why are you saying it's so? I mean, I've grown up in that environment, learning these things, and I guess it's not common now. Even with
Yeah.
my kids, they're not home when we're cooking. I don't eat all the foods. Actually, they're not home, full stop. But they're not learning, so this is not being passed down. My fault. It's
You know what though?
passing down my knowledge.
I feel like a lot of cultures, like even ours, are trying to incorporate it more. Like what I was just at my favorite Pakistani grocery store in Burlington the other day, and I started picking up all these things that I'm used to now eating, okay? Because I can't buy them at regular grocery stores and such. So the education is there for sure. Like we live in Canada where there's an Indian food place on every corner in my city. Do you know what I mean? But I'm glad that you learned something from today because I honestly thought this topic would be kind of boring for you since
No, well, the doshas, I mean, I've never heard of that term, so that was new.
okay.
And you know, it's, like mung beans and things, I sprout them all the time, and they're so easy and so quick.
My favorite is radish sprouts and broccoli sprouts.
Oh, I've never tried.
Radish sprouts have a little bit of heat to them, like just like radishes
Yeah,
do.
broccoli.
But the broccoli sprouts, they're just this, you will feel energy after. Like that's my pre-workout
Yep.
snack because I'm heading into the gym.
I have broccoli sprouts in my garden too.
Broccoli sprouts, I don't know if it's just the chlorophyll, but they are wonderful for
So
energy if you're going to work out.
I had
So
a
Balbeer,
friend
what do you
who
put Balbeer, what do you put mung beans in? Like you're into your dishes?
Um, Sprouted or unsprouted?
Doesn't matter. Tell me what recipes you're creating with them.
So I just make dal, and I typically will either sometimes I mix all the dals together, like the mung, the whole lentils. I don't know the English names, but then
Moon dal. I have some in my kitchen right now.
so I
Moon.
mix them all up.
M-O-O-N.
But some require more cooking time than others.
Yes.
And this is why some of when rice and some of the lentils don't cook well together, because they're going to cook at different times. You've got to start off one before the other so that the rice catches up. But something like just like the regular red lentils, they will cook. They're so easy. I mean, by the time you fry the onions, they're already done and dead when you're boiling them. And so it's, yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, Michael, go. What were you going to say?
No, when you talk about the microgreens, I had a friend who for a while had a little microgreen business, and he had like the horseradish ones and peas and broccoli ones. And he would make, or actually his wife would make like a salsa in the afternoon for a dip. And, the cheese underneath the regular stuff, and then sprinkle all these microgreens over the top of it. And the flavors that popped out of that were just incredible because like the horseradish microgreen tasted, it had that heat to it and tasted like horseradish. It's really cool, neat stuff.
I want to say microgreens are in the bitter category if I had to put them into pungent.
Yep.
Thank you, because they have so much nutrients per, like I'm growing microgreens right now, like broccoli microgreens right now, and I added it to my lentil dish the other day actually, and it was just so effervescent. Like I just could smell it, I could eat it, I could actually taste it and everything like that. So I prefer it that way now, and I'm like, yay. Anyway,
Yeah, no, stuff's good.
it is good, and I like them. The only issue is that they're so darn expensive if you're not growing them.
That's
I
why you
grow
should
a
just grow
lot.
your own.
And they're easy to grow.
Yeah.
He grew his in his basement and just used like for lights. He just used LED lights
Okay.
because
Literally
they just need the light, right?
a
And
mason
Yeah.
jar with a piece of cheesecloth on the top on your kitchen counter will work just as well.
So if anybody wants to share what they are growing in their garden, I'm curious for the summer.
I'm not growing, but
That's okay.
I
Megan,
used to.
I know
I
you
used to.
have a lot of Megan, aren't you growing like tomatoes or something? I can't remember what you said.
Yeah, I have a couple going on. I have cucumbers, strawberries, tomatoes, and I think peppers as well, like maybe it's red peppers. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good variety. Belbeer is growing mung beans, obviously.
Lyndsay, I have to duck out. I'm really
Yep, that's
sorry,
fine.
but it's
That's
been
fine.
great chatting with all of you.
So
I hope
yes,
you learned something.
One last thing before Veronica leaves. No event on July the 1st. She will not be here if there's an event on July the 8th, and we will not have a Zoom call until September. Okay, cool?
Yeah, but
Awesome.
hey, Veronica, I'd love to schedule another a farmer's market walkthrough. So
Absolutely.
when you get a chance, just give me a ring and we can set it up.
Absolutely.
Yes, but I'm growing in my garden lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, strawberries, and a lot of herbs. So let's all take lots of pictures and post them on the Facebook Balance Bites page. That would be
Hey,
great.
listen, if you guys have surplus, just let me know and I'll trade you.
Oh,
You know,
I will have
I don't know.
surplus. I'll tell you
So
that.
let me know. Yeah, I'll trade you web design or something for it. So let me have it.
Can you post the Balance Bites page link in the thing?
Yeah. So yes, please try to also join this page, because obviously with the summer winding down, we're gonna have less and less calls. I don't know what Ivan's plan for Monday morning calls are going to be.
Yeah, so Monday morning continues, but at the end of this month, as you know, I'm going back home to Calgary at the end of June, just for 2 weeks, but I'm not doing anything over the summer. We've got summer roundup, by the way, and just to brag, Lyndsay is my summer roundup cowboy hat model, which is great. So if you're not doing anything on the 20th of July, come out to the Ancaster Fairgrounds for that event. It's gonna be great. Especially if you like country music, you know, come out.
Yes.
And
I'm
I think we're
until
teaching people how to do line dancing, right? Lyndsay, we have someone who's a professional instructor, and she's teaching folks how to do line dancing.
Okay, guys, thank you for coming today. Ivan, stay on the call. I just need to talk to you quickly.
Understood. I'll be here.
But thank you everybody for coming as many times as you did. Michael, I think, wins the contest of coming as the most times, except for that one.
Thank you, Michael.
I did miss one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But I think Belbeer's pretty close.
Belbeer's pretty close too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
I
sure.
try when I can, I will. So that was my little greenhouse, because the outside is just too cold.
Yes.
And the chili peppers, I grew the seeds from last year's crop.
Great.
So they're about this high, right? not sturdy enough. But then I planted the beans at the same time, and they're this high. So everything is so different.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad that everybody's growing something, except for Ivan
and me
or Michael.
That's right.
That's okay.
Sorry, guys.
But the bounty will be full to all of you. Trust me. If I could, I was actually going to say, if you guys can, try to come to Marta's event next week, because I will be making food for that event. So
Marta's event, that's on a Wednesday next week, and it's at the Playform Gym, and that's on just off of York Street and Queen. York and Queen, I believe. Yeah. Area. So the information is on the streets.